Hi everybody and welcome back to another Markham Public Library live video. I'm Abdullah and I am a community librarian over at Markham Public Library. Today we're going to be doing a very nice simple little experiment from the comfort of our own home, and it's going to be stacking water with different colors. Okay, so it's actually very cool. It's a color layering experiment, and we're going to be doing it using some everyday household objects that we can find from the comfort of our own home. Probably the hardest one that some of you may not have is going to be a food coloring bottle. So I have 4 different colors over here because we're going to be stacking 4 different colors. Okay, so you're going to be needing food coloring bottles. You are going to be needing some sugar, which I have over here. All right, you're going to be needing at least 4 different cups, which is for each one of the respective colors that we're going to be using in our case. You're going to be needing a jug of water. You're going to be needing either a syringe or a pipette, just so that you can actually do the layering process more effectively. And then you're also going to be needing a spoon just to stir the sugar. So I've actually gone right ahead and started myself off a little bit just because I don't want this video to take too long, but I'm going to be explaining it and be going along relatively slowly, so you should quite easily be able to catch up because I'm going to be doing things such as explaining the science, and while I'm doing that you can actually go right ahead and get started with the experiment. Okay, so first of all, what you're going to do is either using a teaspoon or a tablespoon. I find that a tablespoon works a little bit better than a teaspoon. You're going to go right ahead and pour varying amounts of sugar depending on how you want to layer your different colors. Okay, so in my case, I want the blue layer to be at the bottom, the green layer to be the second layer, so right on top of the blue layer, the red layer to be on top of the green, and then the yellow layer to be all the way at the top. So what we're going to do is you are going to pour 4 tablespoons or teaspoons of sugar into the layer that you want to be at the bottom. So I've actually gone right ahead and poured in the sugar. So please, if you're following along at home, now is the time for you to take 4 scoops of sugar, again 4 teaspoons of sugar, pour it in, and then start mixing it. So I do actually have my sugar in here, so I'm going to start mixing it right now. Okay, so we're going to put 4 spoons of sugar over here, 3 spoons of sugar onto our third layer, 2 teaspoons or tablespoons of sugar onto our second layer, I guess, because depending on how you're going. So this will be our top layer, so layer number 1, layer number 2, layer number 3, and layer number 4. And then for this layer, you're not going to pour any sugar at all. Okay, so no sugar necessary for this layer. So again, 4 teaspoons or tablespoons over here. Make sure you mix it thoroughly. Okay, and then 3 over here, 2 over here. So generally speaking, what I like to start off with is the 4 teaspoons of sugar over here. Then I pour in the water, and then I mix it, and then I pour in the coloring as well. But the order doesn't really matter. Again, just make sure you have your food coloring in here, 4 scoops or 4 spoons of sugar, and then your water in here as well. And then just make sure that you mix very thoroughly because you want the sugar to dissolve. Okay? And that's going to add some density onto our water, and then the various different densities are going to allow us to effectively stack the water onto one another. So again, our heaviest layer, which in my case I've decided to go with the blue, is going to be all the way at the bottom, followed by our second layer. So again, if you're following with me, we're going to put in 3 tablespoons or teaspoons or scoops of sugar, whatever measurement you want to use. Just make sure you're consistent, right? Because you want to pour in the same amount of sugar with each one of these respective cups. Also, another thing that I forgot to mention is you probably want to fill in the cup. Let's say, like, I would say a fifth or a quarter of the way there. So if you have a 250 milliliter cup, maybe fill it up to around 60 milliliters or so. You don't want to put too much water because then it's really going to dilute the sugar, right? And we need that sugar to really make a difference in terms of the mass and the density of our different layers. So again, 3 spoons of sugar over here, currently mixing it. All right, perfect. All right, so I feel like that's nice and evenly mixed. I'm not seeing any sugar anymore, so that's fantastic. Again, just take a look inside. You'll know when the sugar has been effectively dissolved because you shouldn't really be able to see it or feel it for the most part, right? So just make sure you do a thorough job in terms of mixing it. So again, this was our second layer, so the second layer from the top, or the third layer if we're working our way from the bottom up. And this is 2 spoons of sugar, 2 scoops of sugar. Again, whatever measurements you're using, just make sure you stay nice and consistent. I find that tablespoons work a little bit better than teaspoons because then it gives us sort of more defined densities and a bigger sort of difference in terms of the mass of each of these respective cups of water. And again, we're gonna go right ahead and mix that in. And then our final layer, you don't even need to mix that because you shouldn't have put in any sugar. Technically, you could put in 1 scoop of sugar or 1 teaspoon of sugar if you want, but I would say just honestly don't, because it's going to be our lightest layer and we're gonna put that all the way at the top, all right? So I'm actually gonna go right ahead and get rid of the spoon because it is in the way, and then we're going to start layering the different colors. So again, 4 glasses was all you really needed. So this glass is actually going to be the glass we're going to be using to display our different layers. So if you're using either a syringe or a pipette, we can sort of more precisely layer on the different colors. So I'm actually going to go right ahead and here, let me just tilt that over because it's a little hard for me to get in there. Perfect. There we go. All right, and then I'm gonna go and layer the first layer. So again, I find that if you put it on top of the other layer, just very gently and against the glass, just very sort of gently squeeze it out and make sure that it is being layered properly. Don't go too fast because I find that that results in the colors mixing a little bit more. So if my final, again, take it nice and slow, because then you're going to have a much better looking final product. So if my final product doesn't look as amazing as yours might, it's probably because I did this a little bit too fast, right? Because this actually does take a little bit of time, and just for the sake of saving us time, I actually went right ahead and had poured in the food coloring, etc. already into my cups. All right, so again, just take it nice and slow, nice and slow. Perfect. I can already see the difference between the first and the second layer. So again, I'm actually gonna go and tilt this over, push my syringe all the way up. Again, if you're using a pipette works just as well. In my opinion, it might work even a little bit better than a syringe. And again, we're gonna go and gently layer that on top as well. So again, right against the side of the glass, very, very close to the layer or even touching the layer, and then gently squeeze it out, okay? I find that if you pour it in too fast, sometimes it results in a mixing of the layers, and then unfortunately it's not as defined, or sometimes even the layers mix in together, so it doesn't end up looking as nice as it possibly could, right? So let's go right ahead and gently squeeze our second layer of color out. There we go. All right, I think our layer is looking fantastic right now. I'm not sure how well you can see it. I might have to tilt the camera at the end, but I think it should look fantastic. All right, so let's go and scoop up this layer as well. There's a little bit of water in there, that's perfectly fine. We don't need to get every single drop in there, right? It depends how thick you want your layers to be, so to speak. So if you felt, for example, if you felt that 2 pipettes or 2 syringes was more than enough to get the thickness that you desired, then that's perfectly fine. You can go right ahead and move on to the next color, right? Oh yeah. I like how defined the layers are right now, which is fantastic. Again, in my instance, I actually had used 4 tablespoons of sugar as opposed to 4 teaspoons of sugar. Because I have done it before with 4 teaspoons of sugar as well, and I feel like sometimes the difference in terms of the mass just isn't really enough to give us a distinguished color, so to speak, between the different layers, or distinguished mass. Okay, so the first cup has been finished, so let's go and put that over there, and then let's go and finish, again, pipetting or squeezing out, if you're using a syringe, our second layer. So again, the reason why these colors are not mixing is because there's different densities, and the blue layer has a lot more mass than the green layer. All right, there we go. All right, perfect. All right, so layers 1 and 2 have been completed. Now let's go right ahead and move on to layer number 3. Again, if we're counting from the bottom up, if you're counting from the top down, then this is layer 2. Sorry, this might be sorry if it's a little confusing, but again, this is whatever you want to call this layer that we're going to be stacking on, this is the one that has 2 spoons of sugar, or 2 cups of sugar, or 2 scoops of sugar, whatever measurement it is that you used. Again, we're going to go and layer this nice and slow. I like to use it right against the glass, and either just slightly above the layer or right into the layer as well. Okay, again, I've done this experiment many times now because I wanted to make sure I got it right for when we were filming it, and just want to make sure that it is as nice as it can possibly look. Let's see. All right, yeah, that's great. That's great, actually. I can really sort of see the defining space between the green layer and the red layer. So I think this is actually going to turn out really, really nice. Beautiful. Again, you can totally use different colors. You can use more colors if you want. I know some people who have made sunsets with it, for example, which I think is a really neat little idea. So yeah, so you can totally do that as well. So there we go. Let's go right ahead and just squeeze in that layer nice and slow. Okay. Perfect. This is definitely one of those experiments where you and your child need to have a little bit of patience, or your brother and sister, whoever it is that you're doing it with, because if you rush it, then the end result usually ends up not looking as nice. And I feel like I rushed this layer a little bit, so it's funny I'm saying that, because I feel like it's not. I feel like this layer isn't as nice as my first 2 layers were, but I'm still going to show it. You can still definitely see a defined sort of amount of space, a defined color gradient between the blue and the green, and now the red as well. I feel like I've poured enough red, so I'm actually not going to go and finish this up. But here, this is how our cup is looking right now. So here's the green. Here is the blue all the way at the bottom, and then we have the red on top. Again, I'm probably going to tilt the camera a little bit just so that we can properly see the different layers. All right? And now let's finally go and finish up with our last layer, which in my case is the color yellow. All right. Just really, really hope that they don't mix together. Again, take it nice and slow. You don't need to rush at all. It's not a race. Yes, there we go, nice and slow. Just wanna hopefully see a difference in terms of the colors. I want to see a nice little yellow layer hopefully start to build up. Okay, I'm just taking a close look. It looks like we're starting to have a nice little yellow layer build up, so that's great. And I hope it becomes more and more defined as I start to pour in the remainder of our yellow non-sugar water. Because in my case, I didn't actually pour in any sugar. You, on your case, may have poured in a single cup or spoon or teaspoon of sugar, whatever again it is that you decided to use, as long as you're consistent across the different cups. But I find that it works a little better if you have no sugar whatsoever, right? Because this is our lightest layer, and water by itself is a lot lighter than water with sugar in it. Okay, let's see. Again, just gently layering that yellow on top. Okay. And hopefully the end result looks really, really nice. It's what I'm hoping for. We'll see how it actually ends up turning out. I feel like the yellow and the red might be mixing in a little bit. Hopefully that's not the case, but I still have quite a bit of yellow water to go, so let's go and finish it all up. All right, here we go. So we're almost done, and then I'm going to share my end result with you. And if you want to share your end product with us as well, by all means, feel free to go right ahead and send it to us via our social media platforms, because we do have Twitter, Facebook, which is presumably where you're watching it live right now, and we have Instagram as well. So by all means, feel free to go right ahead and send it to us, okay? Because we love to see what our community is doing. And if you have any other very cool little STEAM activities that you want to suggest for us to do, or you think is amazing and you'd like us to showcase, please go right ahead and send us your suggestions as well. We're very receptive, and we'd love to showcase it with the community as well. All right, and then I think this might be enough. I may not use the remainder of our yellow water because there's just a very little amount left. All right, so again, praying and hoping that this layer looks nice, but I feel like it mixed in a little bit with the red because I was going a little bit fast, right? Crazy that I'm saying that this is fast because, again, this is definitely one of those experiments where you need to take it nice and slow. Actually, no, I feel like I can kind of see a defined barrier between the different colors. And my green layer is definitely the smallest, and I think that's actually partly because I didn't have enough water. All right, so let's actually go and tilt the camera up a little bit so that you can see me and you can actually see the different colors and layers. All right, so again, my camera might be making it a little bit challenging to see, but here we have the blue layer, right? Sorry, I know the glass that I'm using isn't the greatest for showcasing it, but you can definitely see a relatively tiny little green layer over here. There's the red layer as well. Part of the reason why it looks orange, I would say, is because of the lighting. And from my end, again here, let's see if I can bring it a little bit closer. Here, you can see right here, it's very, very red. And then here you can see that it's relatively yellow. It might have worked a little bit better if I had used two different colors that maybe don't blend in as nicely to one another, right? But there definitely is those distinguished different layers. So yeah, so there we go. So that's all there was to it. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to, again, check us out on our various social medias. Be sure to tune in to next week's theme video because we do have more upcoming cool little activities for you to participate in. Leave a comment below, leave your suggestions, we'd love to hear them. If you want to explore some additional resources that we have here over at Markham Public Library, please check out our website, so markhampubliclibrary.ca. We have ebooks, we have newspapers, comics, just a variety of free resources that can help you during these trying times that we're currently undergoing. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all again next week, and have a wonderful day, and take care everyone, bye!